Hi, my name's Zaza, and I'm talking to Agnus Olive, who is a self-made artist, and her process in life of where she came from, how she found her in Spanish it's called don, her gift, and the process of becoming. It's a process of becoming.
I like that because I'm into process. And
You're into process.
I am into process, and I'm still in process. And I'm a great believer in the creative process. It's something that fascinates me. But I would like to start with an idea I have that we come into this world. We've got a little package over here, and these are the gifts that were given to us. We've got another package over here, and these are the challenges. And how we use these two has a lot to do with whether or not we will be within harmony on what our true, I don't like to say purpose, but our true song line is.
Songline.
Our song line. I love that idea of the Aborigine song line. So I will have to start from when I was young because I'm going to put both packages down.
Okay.
Because when I was born into a very small town in Canada, and it was culturally void. It had sports and that was it. And as a child, I wanted to be a singer, a dancer. I wanted to play the harp. I wanted to write, and I wanted to travel. Now, I had no idea those were creative things to even think about because I didn't even know the word creative. But that was a gift I was given. I didn't realize at the time, it took me many years to accept that I was given a gift of creativity.
Of creativity.
A creative mind.
A creative mind.
And then over here, what was the challenge? Well, the challenge was that I was born into this place where we just didn't have any facilities for me to do any of these, and my family didn't have any money, even if we did have facilities. So there I was. I wanted to be an artist, but I had no opportunities and no support.
And you didn't know what wanting to be an artist was?
No idea, no idea.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. These are the gifts and these are the challenges.
Yes, there we are. So what I did is, of course, I grew up like most people did at those times with just, I'd have to say I almost feel like I gave up at times, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Because it came out again, but for a while I did. I went away to school. I knew I had to get out of this little town. I knew that. I had to spread my wings. I went to college.
What does I knew that, what is that?
It's
I
a
knew
knowing.
that.
It's a knowing. It's a feeling in your gut. It's something that just speaks to you, and it took me years to learn to listen to this voice. And today, it's the voice I listen to 90% of the time. It's just something is pulling you, drawing you. You can say we have our guardian angel doing it, whatever, but it's a knowing. And when we listen to the knowing is when we're in harmony. We don't listen to it. That's when we have struggles and we have problems that we have to overcome. So we don't always listen to all of these little nudgings. In fact, quite often we don't. And that, yeah.
So the nudgings come from your gift, your gifts.
I think so. Like, I knew I had to leave this town. There was nothing there. Okay, that's all I can say. And I knew I wanted to be something more than I was. And I knew there were no opportunities there to be whatever it was going to be.
Yeah.
So there's a knowing, and there's also common sense, you know. I've got to get out of Dodge if I'm going to do what I want to do. And I went to college, and I didn't study. I had no idea what being an artist even was at that point. I met my then husband in the first year, and we married quite young, had 3 children, did the whole thing. I was a stay-at-home mom, and I'm very happy I did that because I have many memories of being with my children before school. I remember sitting on the floor with the sun coming in, and we were reading Dr. Seuss and laughing, and I wouldn't give that up for anything. But when I can still remember when the 3 of them went finally to school, of course, my husband's out working. And I said, so Agnes, what are you going to do the rest of your life? And my first angel appeared. That very year, an art college opened in this town that I was still living in southern Ontario, but it was a little bit bigger town, and an art college opened. I went to
I love that. And your angel is the art college opening. That's good.
And
Angels come in many different forms.
That's right. That's right. And you have to know to go towards the angel.
Yeah,
That's the next thing. So I went and I watched this woman throwing a pot of clay on a wheel. And somebody said, do you want to buy one? I said, no, I want to make that. And there was something in here again. This is what happens. It's like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And I was enrolling the next morning full time for a 2 or 3 year program. I didn't really give it too much thought, because if I did, I probably would never have done it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is another thing I have learned, because I can have a problem getting over thresholds and making decisions and saying yes. And when I was quite young, my sister taught me something. I was on a high board in our swimming pool. I was about 8 years old, and I was out at the end looking down, and I was afraid because it looked so far. I started to walk back and down the ladder, and my sister, my older sister Mary, said, go out to the end, hold your nose, close your eyes, and jump.
Ah, that's great.
That's how I make a lot of today's decisions. So thank you, Sister Mary. Thank you. And so anyway, I enrolled in school, and it was like a whole new world. It was a complete art college. I'd never held a brush. I didn't know what Conte was, but I was mesmerized. I loved it. And that was the very first beginning of becoming an artist. So I went on, and later I went back to school another second time, and eventually I opened a gallery and became a full-time professional artist, working primarily in clay for 25 years. And the challenge there was I had fear. I thought, who am I to be going to art college? I don't know anything. But once again, there's that little push, and you just sort of take your fear and throw it away, and away you go.
So you take your fear and throw it away.
Yeah, you don't let it make your decisions for you. And this is very difficult, because I can have a lot of fears. And I've had to learn to look at them and face them. In fact, I made a temple to my fears one year.
Oh, that's great.
So anyway, I graduated. Now, my challenge there was that, of course, I never thought I'd be an artist, because I didn't know what an artist was. And I'm sure my ex-husband thought this wife was going to, when the kids grew up, was going to go and get a job, a real job, and probably help out financially. And all of a sudden, here I am. I'm going to become an artist. So there was a little bit of, what shall we say, not terribly happy about the decision, but not a sort of, oh, no, you can't do that. But I knew the support wasn't there. Second time in my life, no support. But financially, yes, very supportive. But still, there is a challenge that, are you going to listen to what this other person is saying, or are you going to listen to yourself? Well, look at it this way. If I had listened, the possibility is we would still be divorced today, and I wouldn't have followed my bliss, as Joseph Campbell says. So I did that, and opened a gallery, and it was really interesting. It's taken me years, and that was in the late 70s, and it's taken me till a few years ago to realize how my art has shaped my life. And I was giving a talk a couple of years ago about my work, and the words came out. I said, all those years I thought I was forming the clay, and the clay was forming me. And I realized all my work, my crones that are around me, I did those at the same time I was having a croning ceremony, but they told me it was time to have a croning ceremony. It's really extremely interesting. And I would do my work, which had to do with ritual. I didn't know where it was coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I grew up in this little town, a Catholic. How do I know about all these various ceremonies? But the one thing that formed me also was travel. I did travel. And I went to many, many third world countries, Asian countries, and I became fascinated with the rituals there, the cultures there, and they came into my work. And today they're still in my work. And a few years ago, I took a piece of my artwork to a shaman here, and I said, okay, what is a woman from a small conservative town, a recovering Catholic, doing, making work with bones and stones and seeds and wood and paper and ritual? And he said,
And feathers.
and feathers.
Yes.
You know, the stuff of
Twigs.
witchery, the stuff of
Yeah,
witchery.
yeah.
And in fact, I have been accused of being a witch. But he said, oh, Agnes, this is quite easy. He said, many, many lives ago, you were a Nichasara, which is a form of crone or witch, or a medicine woman, and you used to accompany souls to their graves. And I said,
Wow.
that sounds good. That sounds right.
Yeah. You know what? I just want to say, accused of being a witch or complimented in being a witch.
Well,
Because witch actually means crafting wisdom, doesn't it?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it, but the people doing it took it as, or made it as an accusation. I was living in Pakistan at the time, and I had a show in a gallery there using paper. I learned to make paper while I was living in Pakistan, and I was taking brooms and taking the sticks apart and putting them into the pieces, and I purposely left out bones. I was told, do not put bones in there. But I had, I know,
Or teeth.
or teeth,
Yeah, yeah.
or skin, or hair. Sticks you can do it for stones. So I was one of their major galleries, and they had never seen anything like this because they're used to European fine art, you know, and here are these pieces all over the wall. So when the review came out in the newspaper, it was, this is definitely the work of witchcraft. And I loved it. I just loved it.
Wow.
So maybe
yeah.
that's when I first discovered that I was a witch.
Yeah. Crafting wisdom,
Yeah.
crafting wisdom. And these pieces are crafting wisdom, like this over here. You know, the croning ceremony. When a woman stops menstruating and goes into another rite of passage, which is all of that experience comes together and starts coming out as wisdom, right? And you stop needing to be seen and you start being.
Just being who you are.
Being.
Your true self. There's
Yeah.
a beautiful indigenous saying for this I'd like to tell you because
Yeah.
I love it. The way they see a crone is when a woman no longer gives her blood back to Mother Earth, it is
Uh-huh.
retained in her body
Uh-huh.
and it is transformed into divine, sacred wisdom and knowledge.
Wow, that's
Isn't that beautiful?
beautiful. Yeah.
So when I have given some crone workshops, I tell women, celebrate. It's a time of celebration,
Mhm.
which it is. And then I
Mhm.
quote that. And every woman would like to think that we have sacred wisdom and knowledge. And so it's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I wanted to say too, when I was in my gallery, my second angel came along. And it was a woman called Mips, of all names. And she walked into my gallery, which was in a small village now. I'm getting smaller and smaller. We were about 100 people. And she said, is this your work? And I said, yes. And she said, you should be coming to the yoga center. It's only 20 minutes away. And I said, oh, I can't. I said, I've got 3 kids. Husband take care of, I'm running a gallery, I'm making the work, you know, yuck, all these excuses. She said, well, come anyway and let me introduce you. So I did, I went, and they said, well, we don't have room yet because we're keeping the class to 10, but we will let you know. But be prepared because you'll be here all day. In the morning, you'll do yoga, and then we are doing Kundalini for the West with Swami Radha. You will be required to write and read a paper every week. I said, oh God. You know, another fear. Are you married? You know.
Hold your nose,
Hold
close
your
your eyes,
nose
and
away,
just
you know,
jump.
there you go again. So I didn't for a year. They didn't call me for a while, which was good. When they finally did, I bit the bullet and I said, okay. And that was one of the best decisions I ever made. That and going back to school and having my 3 beautiful children. And I went to that center for 8 years, and I wrote a paper once a week for 8 years. And
Wow.
it was an amazing spiritual growth for me. So that was my spiritual, beginning of my spiritual path. And I guess you would say that I actually had an exhibition called Temples to Self, and it was all based on
Temples to self.
the different aspects of self.
Oh, wow, that's
I did the
great.
controller, which I was a controller. I'm trying to get over that one. The nurturer.
Instead of trying to get over that being a controller, using it constructively.
Okay, I'm now using it.
Yeah,
constructively.
because that's an angel too.
That's an angel.
You know, yeah, it has its purpose,
You're
right?
right. You're right. So that's more or less where I am. I'm in the spiritual path and have been for many years. My art continues to lead me and tell me where I'm going. And this year, for the first year, I took a sabbatical. I didn't go, and I'm still not going to my studio for a year because I want to see what will happen. And another little angel has arrived. I have many angels in my life, in the form of Judith Hill, who's doing ecstatic poetry. And this little girl that wanted to write, all of a sudden again, it's like, oh, here it is. And once again, fear, because I've never done poetry. But what have I got to lose? So right now, I'm in the midst of doing poetry, and I'm also doing improvisational theater. Once again, to get a growth, more life skills, open more paths. Because you know, they're all life skills.
And get over yourself.
Get over myself.
Yeah.
You got that one right. That's a get over it.
Yeah, get over yourself. Just do something that's totally out of your norm, you know, and get over yourself.
Yeah. Because I can be too serious. I used to have little drawings on my fridge of a stick girl with a balloon, and I'd have under it, Agnus, lighten up.
Right.
Because I can't. I have a tendency to start, you know, coming in and getting very serious about these things, and really
about yourself,
about myself,
getting on your case,
getting on my case, and really, it's a waste of strength.
It is, isn't it?
It really
it's
is.
a waste of the good food you eat.
Yeah.
You turn into energy. You know, and focused on being intense about yourself, with yourself. Yeah.
I know the year that, in fact, the week after I divorced, because I divorced living here, I went, that's when I made that crone with the arms up like this and say yes. And I said, okay, I am going to live the rest of my life with joy. And I went to my internet place and I said, I have to change my internet name to Joy. And he said, you can't, it's taken. I said, I have to have it, I'll be Joy 1. And he said, okay. So I'm now Joy 1. It's putting out the intention. And every day, every morning, I do my list of gratitudes because I am just so grateful for my life, for my health, for my gifts I've been given, my friends, San Miguel, my apartment, everything.
Me too. Absolutely.
Well, we should be.
Absolutely, Gratitude. It's amazing, isn't it? It's an amazing vibration, gratitude. It just expands you into something else, doesn't
It
it?
does, yeah.
Yeah,
It takes you out of yourself again,
yeah,
which we need to do, I think.
yeah.
But it's a wonderful time. It's the first time in my life I've been exactly where I'm supposed to be at the right time. And I tell myself thank you now. I say, Agnes, you got yourself here.
Yeah.
And pat yourself on the back that you did it, and thank you for all the gifts that were offered to me.
And you taking them,
And
you know, and following the angels.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. I have noticed that I have been doing protective things, and they've sometimes stopped me from doing things. My first thought is, it's like, can I do that? Will I do it well? All that. I'm just not even trying to think of that anymore. I'm just doing it. And that's a big step for me. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Okay, yeah, okay. I'm protecting yourself against your weakness. That's what I have had to learn, because I've got so much confidence in myself that I could kill myself, you know. So for me, it's been the opposite way. It's like I know I have a weakness where I just charge, you know. I can break a limb that way, you know, something. And I need to think more and harness. Yeah, it's the opposite direction.
Yeah. Whereas I need a little giddy up.
Yeah.
Need a little pulling back.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
But that's all part
Very
of learning
interesting. Yeah.
who we are and how to manage who we are, and to just go with the flow.
Yeah. So now I think before I say yes. Before I go yes.
And now I don't. Now
And now
say
you're
yes,
the opposite. Yeah.
See, we're coming to this wonderful middle
Yeah.
path.
Consciousness. It's a consciousness about yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I realise that I just say yes and jump, where if I thought about it, you know, maybe it is a yes and maybe it's no and maybe it's later.
Yeah.
You know, so now I allow myself to have that time of thinking instead of just boom.
Yeah.
You know, and yours is the opposite.
Yeah.
Interesting, isn't it? Yeah, and it's just learning about our energies and who we are.
Yeah. And the more you do, if you're doing what you love, if you're really following that path, your song line, as I love to call it, you'll have energy. Because energy comes from it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so
energy comes from meaning.
yes, that's good. I like that.
Yeah, and if it's meaningful to you, it turns you on, you'll get energy. Yeah, you'll come out of depression and all sorts of things.
I agree.
Yeah, and if you don't, blocking, your energy comes back on itself, and then you become, you know, all of this.
And you know, one thing about living by myself, because I guess it's 13 years now since I've lived by myself, and it's the first time in my entire life. Because after school I went into an apartment with girls, I got married very young, all these things. I have lived alone here now for about 13 years, I'm not sure exactly how long. Boy, do you ever get to know yourself. I can't blame anybody for anything. And I think every man and woman needs some period in her life to be by yourself and really look at yourself, all sides of yourself. And that's the stage I'm in now. And
So you're just taking, the angel appears and boom, you're doing it.
whatever opportunities are coming now, I'm taking them. And
Totally out of your comfort zone, like a bungee
both
jump.
of them were both out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
In fact, before I go to improv now, I'm still like, oh God, do I have to go? You know, I don't feel very well. Maybe I'll call Joseph. And I say, Agnes, get your buttons up there. And within 5 minutes of being there, because it's so well run and the people are so supportive, I'm happy I'm there. And I think the opportunities I've probably missed throughout life by not just saying yes and doing it. And yeah, it's wonderful.
It never ends, does it?
Nope, it never ends.
Growth, opportunities, evolution, transformation, all of that just keeps going and going and going. And everyone has their own way in their own time.
And you know, it's what keeps us younger. I was listening to a program on PBS the other night, and they were talking about aging and Alzheimer's and the things that we needed to do because the cells do regenerate.
Yes. Yeah.
But we have to keep using them.
Yes.
And he was talking about all these different things we could be doing, and I'm sitting there saying, I'm doing that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
They did this experiment, whatever. This old man in a retirement home who had Alzheimer's, and he was like, you know, totally in himself. They put headphones on and put Cab Calloway, I think it was. I love Cab Calloway. Yeah. And played this music, and suddenly, you know, he started tapping, and he woke up and he started speaking. He came back into the world.
That's fabulous.
With music, yeah.
That's fabulous. So with a bit of luck, we'll never let ourselves get to that stage.
Yeah. Just keep taking what it is, whatever. And creativity, isn't it? It's an amazing juice. It's a juice, creativity.
I realize now what a beautiful gift I was given. And one thing I have to say, because it's taken me this many years to know they were gifts. And one day, a lady was in this next room with me looking at my artwork, and she just stopped dead and she said, I hope you realize that these have been gifted to you. And I said, no. And then ever since that day, I've thought of that. Agnes, these have been gifts. You are gifted with them. I said, yes, thank you. This has been a gift. Now, what can I do with this gift? That's the next thing. How can I share it? And this is something I've been thinking about a lot. I feel I wanted to be doing more teaching, so I am doing workshops now, but not too many, but I am. And
teaching?
Take the fear out of art, I call them. It's about getting past fear and creating, and I love teaching them. I just realized how much I love doing them. And I only do about 3 a year. And I also do the creative journey, which you know, where I introduce different artists and they talk about their journeys as artists, and we give the money to different charities in town. But the main thing is too, it's a forum of them, like people in San Miguel can finally get to talk to an artist and hear what makes them tick. Because you go to an art opening, and most people don't even talk about art in an art opening, but you go, you never really learn very much about the artist. So this is another way I'm using my gift, is by putting these on twice a year. And so I am in the stage, part of being a crone is giving back. It's a time of teaching, a time of returning with your gifts. And that's something I'm conscious of now.
Creative can be anything, can't it?
Oh, yes.
Cooking.
Yes.
What else? Give me some other ideas.
Cake decorating. My sisters make beautiful cake
decorating.
That's
an art.
Anything that you're taking nothing and making it into something. That's creating. I mean, you take these ingredients for a pie, say, and you make this beautiful pie. You've created a beautiful pie. It doesn't have to be art. You create your life. Like I am creating my life. You're creating your life. We are probably our biggest creations.
Right. Oh, yeah.
The 3 questions I ask when I do the creative journey is, what inspires you to create? Where do these ideas come from? And how do we as artists take them and transform them into our work? That's the act of creativity, those 3 things.
Right.
And it's like a little miracle. And what I do, and it's taken me years to learn this, is I say to my muse, okay, I go to my studio, I said, I'm here, I showed up, now what are we going to do?
Right.
I just wrote a poem to my muse today, this morning at 6:30 a.m. I was in bed writing a poem to my muse.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Now, what are we going to create today?
Yeah, exactly. I'm here. I showed up. And I think that's it. And then you step aside. You have to get the ego out of there. When I started working in my studio, and I spent years working in the studio alone, and I would go in and I'd go, quiet, quiet, quiet. Quiet the mind. Because I'd be going to do something and I'd hear, you'll never sell that. What are you doing? Do something more practical. So I'd go, quiet, quiet, quiet. I may have done it too much.
I'm OT on quiet, quiet.
Okay, you can come back a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah. But yeah.
And then just let go. Show up
And get out of the way.
and get out of the way.
That's just about it. That's it, really.
And enjoy the ride.
Yeah. And then the work, and I don't mean you don't put in a lot of work, but you do, but then a special day when the sun is shining brightly, a piece just seems to make itself, and believe me, that is heaven when that happens. Because you can feel it, you know it. And people don't always know when they're buying someone's artwork, they're really buying a piece of their soul, they're buying the energy. So when a piece does make itself, the energy is still vibrating in it.
Uh-huh.
And I would think, oh, I love this piece, I could put it in a gallery, it'll be the first piece everybody will go to. Because the energy is still there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's just a wonderful process, and it's because I let the ego get out of the way and just let it make itself.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean I haven't put tons of study and work in ahead of time, because
Yeah.
I may have.
Yeah.
You know, I had
Yeah.
to go to school, I had to learn how to do these.
Yeah.
Although I'm a great believer in being self-taught, I really am.
Yeah.
I lived
yeah.
in Pakistan and I learned how to make paper. I taught myself how to make paper
Right.
there, and I'm glad I did.
I'm a great believer in do it and then learn how to do it.
That's how I do. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you really, you know, you do come from yourself. You don't come from that particular system.
No, exactly.
Do it first and then learn.
Yeah. And that way we become unique.
Yeah, that way we become
And if we're
unique,
not
yeah.
going to do something unique, why are we bothering? Really?
Yeah, yeah. Compared to nothing
Yeah.
and nobody. That's great. Dance is that for me.
Yes. It's
I totally get out of the way and let my body have fun.
yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And I enjoy it
Yeah.
doing itself, you know, expressing itself.
When I learned to make clay first, it was all by myself because there was nobody to teach me again, no support system there. I was determined I was going to do it. And I found this woman who was then in her late 80s, seemed to me like she was 100 years old.
So that was what your support was, determined.
I was determined, yes. When
So
you are
determined
not
is-
given everything you want as a child, I think that's a gift. And
Uh-huh,
at the time you
uh-huh,
don't know it.
uh-huh.
Because it makes you then determined
Yeah,
that you're going to do it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's very good. That's true. Yeah. And I just started digging clay. I lived in a place called Terracotta, and I lived there for 30 years, and I dug clay. And I started making the clay, and I forget what all things I did, because this woman, Violet, who was 89, I think, at the time, she was the only teacher. I said, please show me what to do. She used to dig clay, put it in flower pots. She had a twiddle sewing machine, which she had made into a wheel.
Uh-huh.
It was unreal. Well, but a year later, I worked like that. I went and joined a class. It was about an hour away. I had to drive. And they said, where do you buy your clay? And I said, can you buy clay? They said, you mean you dig it? They'd never done clay. I didn't know you could buy clay. But I mean, then I knew how to dig and process clay.
Yeah,
I never did get a twiddle sewing machine to make into a wheel, but I learned from the earth.
Yeah,
Feel that earth. I didn't
Yeah.
go and just buy something in a box.
yeah,
That to me is important
yeah, yeah.
because I feel very bound to the earth.
Yeah, yeah. That's great. So the spirit, you know, in Australia, the Aborigines say, the spirit of fear has come to give you a gift. Learn, you know, and then the next spirit will come, and
Oh,
the
I
next
love
spirit
that.
will come. So the spirit of determination came
I love that. Yes, yes. I am a Taurus.
and moved you.
Yeah, yes. I love that. I love the whole
That's
idea.
that's a metaphoric life, isn't it?
It is.
Living your own metaphor,
Yes.
your own myth, living your own myth.
Joseph Campbell would love this, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would love it. Yeah, well, you know, his myth was studying everybody's myth and then bringing it out into the world. Yeah,
He had quite an
absolutely.
influence on me, actually. I love
Me
his
too.
programs. Yeah.
Me too. I watched his videos over and over and over. I can practically recite them. Yeah, he was a very big point of transformation for me.
For many people, actually.
Yeah, yeah. And he followed his bliss. That was
Yeah.
his passion.
Yeah.
That's it turned him on, and you could see it, couldn't you?
Yes.
He was totally alive until he died. You know, he wasn't dead before he died. With that, you know, that like nothingness going on.
Glad you said that, because that is what I intend to do. I intend to be live and kicking the day I die.
Yeah, to be totally alive
To be
till the day you
totally-
die.
With, yes, with some grace.
Yeah, that's great, Agnes.
Thank
That
you.
is great. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
I just want to
It's
show
beautiful.
this piece.
This is a little nest, and this is handmade paper, and this is from the cactus plant, and I have dyed these with cochineal, which is a natural dye from the cactus, and I forget the name of the blue the denim comes from now.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, these are all hand dyed, and I just one day decided I needed to make nests. No reason. It's just like, once again, this little voice comes over saying, make nests.
Make
some
nests.
of them I
That's
have
great.
little birds that are going into them. I make little eggs, and this one I just happened to take a workshop in dyeing with cochineal because I loved the idea, and then this was all natural maguey. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And these are roots that I picked up on my walks. I hike every Saturday morning at the Botanical Garden. And these are little roots, and they look like bones. Everything I do
Yeah,
is
yeah.
of the earth. It's from nature.
So these are roots.
Yes. Don't they
And
look like bones?
they look like bones. I thought they were bones.
Yeah.
Hang on. You see that? A nest.
It doesn't.
So you can go for a walk and pick up this and that and create.
My daughter used to say, "Don't go to dinner with my mother because she'll take the bones off your plate." And she's right. She's right.
That's great. Did you hear that? Don't go to dinner with Agnes because she'll take the bones off your plate and make something wrong.
And it won't be soup.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much,
It's been fun.
Agnes.
It's been
Yeah, yeah.